So when you were marching in Canada, if I got this correct, that was an all-female drum corps, the first one you're in, right? So then you make the jump after 7 years of marching there to be in the Crossmen. And if I remember this correctly, were you the first woman in the Crossmen snare line or in any DCI snare line ever?
No, in Crossmen, the Crossmen battery. Yeah.
Right. Still a very big deal. And that I wonder what that experience was like as you made the jump, because you're not only going from Canadian drum corps to American drum corps, which I'm sure is pretty different, but you're also going from, a single gender drum corps to everyone is included. So what was that transition like going into the Crossmen?
So there were three things. The two you mentioned, going from an all-girl to a co-ed drum corps, which is a culture shock in itself. Going from Canada to the States, I traveled alone. I didn't go with a friend. And going from the French-speaking corps to an English-speaking corps, not speaking English.
Wow.
Yeah. So not speaking English, barely speaking English.
Sure.
I can't tell you what made me go. I think I was determined to really get to a higher level, but it was just a voice in my head that just said, just take the train and go. I'm telling you that I was not really actually prepared. Back and Crossmen that year, we auditioned in front of everybody. So all those solo auditions were in front of everybody auditioning.
Yeah.
So when came the time to, have you prepared a piece for us? Have you, do you have something you want to play? And I stand up there and there is Mark Thurston, who he's this great guy and player. I have Rob Robinson, who has just won the snare individual. It was intimidating. I have all these guys watching me. I had people through the weekend saying, hey, we never had a girl. We don't want a girl. Just pack up and go home. And thankfully, my English wasn't great. So I only kind of understood half of that. And I know, right? And I just stood there, and I think I just stood there and I told Tom Annam, I said, look, I don't have a piece. I don't have an audition piece. I had participated in the INE the year prior, and some of the guys remember me. And they said, just play, your INE piece. And I'm like, no, I'm not a show off. I'm not a solo player. I'm a line player. Ask me anything. Ask me basics. Ask me things, but don't ask me to show off. I won't. I'm a line player. And so Tom, the guys were taken aback, right? Because these guys, they were great players that came in front and did all those stunts, and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And so and Tom just asked me really basic, like singles and doubles and rolls and like rudiments, and that was it. I went back and I sat down, and then how they rotate on the line, and they put me on the line, and then after a while I noticed they were rotating the other spot, more than mine. And then at one point we all went to the gym in front of the corps. And then Tom Annam just said, I just want to introduce you to the 1982 Crossmen battery line. And I'm like, oh, I'm standing here. I'm actually standing here, so that means I have a spot. That's how I learned. That's how I learned that I was in. So it's
wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
so
it's crazy.
That is wild, and especially the point that because you didn't necessarily know that they were telling you to pack up and leave, that you were better off.
I kind of knew. I kind of knew. People come to you and they say, we never had a girl, pack up, go on. I remember the one particular person who said that to me, and I remember going, this spot, me. I remember saying that. I remember this will be me. Like it's, and that's all I could say. It's like, no, it's like, I'm not going to pack up and go home. Are you crazy?
Wow.
I mean, I've traveled all this way. I want this, I really do. And we'll just do it. And I think just the fact that I didn't want to show off, and I had solid basic. In Chatelaines, we did a lot of that. And my instructor, Cal Courteau, at the time was really, really big on the quality of sound on all your basics and your rudiments. And so I knew that I had something solid. And then you learn parts. Once you have the basic, the parts, it's just the parts, right? So wow. I think that's what got the spot.
That makes a lot of sense. And having been in many hours of individual auditions with Tom, I can say that nothing has changed about that, because we still pick a lot of our students based on their ability to demonstrate, not flashy tricks and not like ripping the most fast, choppy thing. It's like whoever has like if you can't play an even roll hand to hand, it's going to become such a problem. So I think Tom still, he really values that. But something I wanted to touch on was